Hi, you're very welcome to Donegal ETB's VET Service Information Session on Engineering and the Built Environment. Today we're going to look at some of the most commonly asked questions that come up around these areas. Donegal ETB offers a range of courses in both welding, in engineering and the built environment, and they can be on a full-time or a part-time basis. They can be daytime or through our evening provision. 95% of our courses are free. Some of them attract a training allowance or a payment, but I would suggest maybe contacting the Adult Guidance and Information Service or our recruitment officer for more information. I'd like to introduce my panel today. We have here Cathal McGee, Senior Instructor in Welding with Letterkenny Training Centre. We have Kevin Houston, who's a teacher in our PLC in Errigal College in Construction Technology, and Tara Maguire, who's a Recruitment Officer for the VET Service. You're all very welcome today. So I'd like to begin maybe by asking Tara. One of the questions that comes up a lot might be, look, I like working with my hands and I'm interested in either woodwork or metalwork. Would you have any courses in that area that might suit me?
Yeah, the good news is, Deirdre, we actually offer courses in both of those areas. We have a couple of different programs on offer. So we would offer the construction technology that runs in Errigal College. In addition to that, we offer a number of different welding courses, and they're both part-time and full-time. So they would be in manual metal arc, MIG and TIG. We offer a basic welding course down in Gweedore. Then in addition, the intermediate and coated pipe runs in our training centre in Letterkenny. We also actually have an engineering operations programme. It's a traineeship, and that runs throughout the county in various locations. And that particular course would have been developed with the employers. So there's quite a lot of opportunities within that sector within Donegal ETB.
Brilliant. So there's a range of options there, both full-time and part-time. A question that does come up quite a lot, particularly from maybe school leavers or people who didn't have a great experience of education the first time around, are, look, if I'm considering a career in engineering, do I really need to be good at maths? And I'm just wondering, Tara, I wonder, could you maybe even start us off on that one, please?
Yeah, well, I suppose maths is a very important subject. It's definitely an advantage to you if you have passed your Leaving Cert Maths, for example. If you haven't, it's not the end of the world. I suppose the maths in any of the courses is very practical and related to the area, so it's not like algebra maths, for example. If you're on the construction course, for example, you'll be looking at maths in relation, I suppose, to area and circumference and that kind of type of maths. But I suppose the two gentlemen will be best placed to give you a better idea of the volume or the level of maths within their own programs.
Kevin, could you maybe tell us a wee bit about your program?
So the level of maths in our program would be basically, scale, being able to read drawings, visual maths. It's all very visual, all happens in front of you. So, it's not, conceptual in any way. It's very, very straightforward. It's not no algebra or nothing like that. It's just, learning how to work with measurement, because you're going to have to use a tape. You're going to have to measure. You're going to be looking at roofing geometry and, how basically angles work together. But it all happens in front of you. It's all very, very visual. So it's broken right down. It's straightforward.
Great. Cathal, what about in your welding and engineering programs?
Following on from what Kevin said there in relation to maths, a lot of our students would need to be able to read a tape and calculate the circumference of a circle and so on and so forth. So it's basic enough sort of maths.
So what you're saying is really, if you're interested in these types of jobs or these types of courses, there is a bit of maths on it, but it's maths that you can visualise, it's maths that you can see. You're using it when you're doing these courses.
It's related,
yeah.
Okay,
exactly.
That's brilliant. I think that might help allay a lot of fears out there around the area of maths. Cathal, moving on from that, one of the most common queries we might come across is, look, I'm really interested in welding. What qualifications do I need to become a qualified welder?
Donegal ETB offer a range of different welding courses from night class provision to basic to intermediate to coated pipe welding. Within those courses, if you do a basic welding course of 17 weeks, it'll enable you to get employment in an engineering firm specifically for MIG welding and working on structural steel. When you complete our coated intermediate course, then it would enable you to work for the pharmaceutical industry. You'll be able to progress then into coated pipe welding, which will enable you to become a coated pipe welder. With the skills and qualifications of being a coated pipe welder will enable you to travel not alone in Donegal but county-wide and countrywide with a certification in coated pipe. The certification is industry standard, Donegal ETB also offer Orbital welding courses at the minute. We have recently acquired 2 new Orbital machines, a tube-to-tube machine and a wire-fed unit. This training will enable you to get into the likes of Intel in Dublin at the minute. They're looking for 700 of these people. So there's a huge skill shortage in that area at the minute and great job opportunities.
So Donegal ETB are really offering courses from the very beginners right up to quite advanced welding.
Exactly, and we're also looking at a robotic welder at the minute, and we hope to have that in position at maybe the end of the year for training.
And in addition to that, Deirdre, I suppose it's a fantastic transferable skill, and sometimes people think that welding is just for the men. So there's been lots of opportunities as well. We've seen a number of women coming through, the various welding programs with Donegal ETB in recent times, and they've all went on to do really exciting things. So I would encourage females, if it's something that you're interested, don't rule it out just because it's a trade. And if you wanted more information, check out our website, because you can follow those ladies' stories, and they're very interesting reads.
Thank you. That's great. Nice to know that the ladies are interested in it also, Tara. Kevin, can I ask you a question about your construction technology course? Sometimes, young people will come in and they'll say, if I do this course for 1 year, will I be a qualified carpenter at the end of it?
Yes. No, the answer to that is no, you won't be a qualified carpenter. The only way you can become a qualified carpenter is if you do an apprenticeship with a carpenter and work with them, What the course basically does is it would be a stepping stone onto that. So, sometimes if you haven't done woodwork before, or you're not very sure of it, or you're not sure of anything in the building industry, it's a good stepping stone to come on to do the course, because it gives you the skills that you will need to go on to progress on to do an apprenticeship in either block laying or carpentry or whatever it might be, or maybe welding, So this course acts as a stepping stone. It'll teach you the basic skills that you need. There's theory in it as well, so you have your drawing, your scale drawings, because that's an important thing that you need to be able to do as well and be able to read them. I also think that it's a fantastic course because there's the practical, there's the theory. So where you move on to then, because it's a stepping stone, you could also go through the higher links. You can go on to third level as well, if you like the drawing side of it, if you like the theory side of it. And then if that's not for you, then you can go then, and that you might do the apprenticeships, or you'll know that you might not want to do any of this at all. So that's no problem either. It's a good stepping stone.
Okay, so it really is a great way of tasting or seeing if an apprenticeship really is for you, or discovering that perhaps you might want to continue this on the third level.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Just to add, Deirdre, I suppose it's an intense 1 year. Like, you are employable at the end of that programme as well. You have a full QQI level 5 major award in construction, and I suppose the construction covers such a broad segment, I suppose, of jobs and career paths, anything from the building trade to plastering, painting and decorating. All of those things fall under the construction remit, if you like. So you are, I suppose, employed at the end as well. You might decide that you don't want to go on and do an apprenticeship, for example, or maybe you're not interested in progressing to third level. It doesn't mean that that's a wasted year. You can still go into an entry level post in industry and work your way up.
A common question that comes up for us with either school leavers or adults that are considering return to education would be, particularly within the engineering or the construction technology, are there a lot of assignments or exams in these courses? Tara?
Definitely, it's not a case that you get to park the bag or the books. There will be a combination of both theory work and practical work. And, that's important. They go side and side. There'll be a combination, I suppose, of written assignments, exams, skills demonstrations, for example. So, yeah, there would be, I suppose, some written work involved. And probably Kevin will be in a better position to give you some further information in that.
Yeah, so the written work is it's basically you've 40% of an exam, at the end of 2 of the modules within the course. So you have 40% for your health and safety to do an exam, and you have 40% in your building technology as well too. That's a module within the course. So the rest of it then is practical. So the 60% would be left over to practical for those 2 subjects, which you would do scale drawing, and you would also do model making too, and carpenter, roofs and stuff like that. And then with the materials module, it's all you're working with different materials. So like stone, that's very useful, because when you're asked on site by someone, can you get me this or can you get me that? At least you know what they're talking about, That's practical. And then the engineering workshop practices is practical as well. There's a skills demonstrations just throughout that. There's also an exam in the work experience module as well that you'll do too. And there's practical mixed with that as well.
Okay. And Kevin, can I ask, say before somebody was going to do an exam, would they get a practice at it, or would they be well prepared?
Yeah. There is mock exams that they will do. They would also do a lot of revision as well too. And the learning that you do as well, it's theory, okay, and it's an exam that you sit, but you actually learn as you're doing. So as you're you're learning. When you're actually doing something, you remember it more because you actually did it. So it'll not be hard to revise for it, just put a bit of effort in and it'll go well, I would think.
Cahill, would there be many exams or assignments in welding type courses?
The welding courses are primarily practical exams, even though 10 to 15% of the content of the course would be theory. But as I said, at the different levels, basic, intermediate and coated pipe, there'd be a higher level of practical exams. And as Kevin alluded to earlier, they would have 2 attempts at the exam. If they don't get it, then that time they can complete the assignments at the end of the course.
So maybe the engineering and the PLC would have some exams there. The welding's much more practical, although there is a bit of theory there as well.
The engineering operations course is 40% theory, 60% practical.
You definitely cannot throw those books and bags under the stairs just yet.
Afraid
No, afraid not.
Thank you. Kevin and Cahill, one of the unique selling points in many of the Donegal ETB courses are the site tickets or the tickets that go along with the courses that we offer. I wonder if you could give us maybe a wee bit of an indication of what we are giving students on top of, any QQI or industry qualifications. I might start with yourself, Kevin.
Yeah, so basically with us on the PLC course, they do the Safe Pass, which is valid for 4 years. And the health and safety module ties into that as well too, because you're well prepared to do the Safe Pass, because we would cover that stuff anyway, the health and safety module. But it's the Safe Pass goes outside. You do it outside, but it's included in the course.
Brilliant, thank you, Cahill.
Our welding courses, we also do the Safe Pass, which, as Kevin says, is valid for 4 years. We do abrasive wheel training, which is 3 years. We do manual handling, which is 3 years. That's in our welding courses. The engineering operations traineeship, we also, in conjunction with employers, we do forklift training, which is a 3-year ticket. We do cherry picker, working at heights, which is 3 years. They also do Safe Pass, abrasive wheels training and manual handling. So it's a great addition to any student to go through these courses and get all these valid tickets, because it's a great help to get an employment when they're finished their training.
I would imagine that's significant value added.
Yes, well, it's a huge saving for the employers. So it brings down the barriers to getting young people into employment.
A question that comes up more around young people who maybe aren't from a traditional trades background or don't really have a background in construction, are things like, look, I think I want to work in construction, but I'm not sure that I want to do a 4-year apprenticeship. Are there any ways that I can get a job in this area without going through that 4-year route? Tara, I might offer that to you.
Yeah, well, I suppose the construction sector is very broad. It covers such a wide variety of job paths, I suppose, or careers. So that can be anything from bricklaying to carpentry to painting and decorating, plastering, so it's a very broad range, I suppose, of jobs that falls under that umbrella of construction. So yeah, the majority of the programs that we offer, you can go directly into maybe entry level posts within employment, and that's, some people are just happy to do that, where others will want to go on. But it's a really good stepping stone, I suppose, and it makes sense if you're unsure. Why would you sign up to a 4-year apprenticeship program, for example, or a 4-year degree if you haven't had experience of that particular trade before? So we would always encourage people that this is probably the best route. Come do one of the traineeships or do one of the PLC courses. That is the space in which you learn whether or not you have a knack for it, if you have an aptitude for it, if it's something you enjoy. The really good news, I suppose, is that all of the programs include a work experience. And sometimes the theory, you might have a graph or something and you can do it on paper. Whether or not you can apply that on the job is another story. And that's where the work experience becomes very important, I suppose, and it's invaluable, because it allows the student to really test the water and see, is this something now that I can continue on with? And they might decide to go down the apprenticeship route or the 3rd level route. And in many cases, they might decide not to. They might go directly into employment because they're eager to get out and earn some money, as they say. So
Excellent. Thank you, Tara. Kevin, anything else to add there?
You know, the PLC course is actually ideal for this because and CAS traineeships, because what that is it's not a full-on 4-year apprenticeship, but it gives you a taster, a stepping stone, gives you the skills as well too that you'll need when you go out to if you're entering into employment, or if you want to go on to third level. It gives you the skills that you need. From that, then you can go on into something higher up, like apprenticeship or third level. Things like using a saw, measuring, reading a drawing, all very practical things that you'll need. Life skills, very transferable from every area, and building and engineering. So, you know, it's definitely a great stepping stone, you know, and it makes sense if you didn't want to do a full apprenticeship. And some people haven't done woodwork, haven't done engineering, haven't done it before. Even using a file, the different types of filing, different types of techniques that you will use when you go on. It's good to get a taster to see if you like it, if you enjoy it, if you can do it, you know.
So it sounds like, you know, if you're not sure about it and you don't know if you do want to commit to an apprenticeship, or you don't know if you want to go into this area for higher ed, you definitely get a taster of what it's like. But as well as that, you have skills and something to offer a potential employer. Yeah. So that you can kind of get out there, get earning, and see maybe if there's something you do want to progress.
Yeah, because the first, they want the skills. They want you to have those skills if you're just entering into employment, because that's what they'll want to teach you then, you know.
Exactly. And you'll have the safe pass.
Yeah.
And the other tickets.
Yeah.
That's great. Thank you very much for that. Cal, something that we're asked a lot in guidance when young people come in and they have an interest in welding would be, look, what's the difference in MIG and TIG? And do I need both if I'm looking for work?
Well, MIG welding is actually metal inert gas welding, and TIG welding is tungsten inert gas welding. So that's just an abbreviation of them. MIG welding would be predominantly used in 100% of engineering companies. They all would use MIG. Companies that would be doing structural steel work, for example, fire machinery and so on and so forth. TIG welding would be a little more specialist and it's a wee bit more difficult to do. You can do stainless steel welding with TIG. You can also do aluminium. So you'd be more, TIG would be leaning more towards pharmaceutical companies, and aluminium the same. We do provide on our basic welding courses. We do MIG, TIG, and manual arc. And as the courses, as you progress intermediate and coated pipe, you just you do harder assessments and so on. So that's the difference between MIG and TIG. As I said earlier, we're also doing orbital welding, which is involved. That is TIG welding. So it's TIG welding, and we do orbital wire fed unit as well, and that's TIG welding.
So it sounds as if I've picked you up correctly, then MIG is you're an all-rounder.
Yes.
And then TIG, you're just becoming a wee bit more specialised and maybe...
in that area of pharmaceutical and so on.
Okay.
So that's where you're at with that.
That's brilliant. Thank you very much for that. That's a very common question there. I wonder, you know, people are interested perhaps in the area of welding or of engineering or of construction in the built environment, but they don't know if they're ready to go on maybe on a full-time basis. So they might think, well, look, could I try it on a part-time basis? Are there any options for that? Tara, would you be aware of any?
Yes, certainly in the welding disciplines we do. So we offer the manual metal arc, the MIG and the TIG through our evening class provision. And I suppose we would get a lot of students maybe still at school that have an interest in that area that would decide to come through the evening provisions just as a taster, I suppose, to see whether or not this is what they want to pursue when they finish school. Equally, we would have adults coming back to refresh their qualifications, because those industry certifications, they last for a certain period of time. And if you're not using them, it's like anything, you lose it. So you have to renew them. If you're continuously employed, then they stand. But if you've been out of employment for any length of time and you haven't been using that skill, you will have to come back and do that again. So certainly through the evening provision, there is opportunity for that. The construction one and the engineering traineeship, I suppose, they're not their full-time programs. You know, they're not available part-time.
As Tara said there, our night class provision is an entry-level taster for welding. So a lot of students do progress on once they get a taste of it and they like it. They would move on to our basic courses, but as I said, there's night class provision there to see if it's something that they want to pursue.
I suppose then what I'd like to do maybe last is make my way around and ask, you know, the panel, if we complete your course or the course that you're representing here today with Donegal ETB, what can I do with it afterwards? What can I progress on to? So I suppose maybe Tara.
Yeah, but I suppose there's three different routes that you can follow, Deirdre, with one of these qualifications. So for some, it'll be directly into employment. Others, it will be into the apprenticeship program. So they'll use it as a stepping stone through that work experience, building their network, with the employers and hoping to secure an apprenticeship out of it. And many will do that. And then others might decide through the PLC one, for example, being a major award at QQI level 5, they may look then to go on through the higher education link scheme into third level and pursue, a degree in whatever area of construction that they're interested in. So there are a number of options.
Thanks very much for that, Tara. Kevin, where are you hoping that your students will progress to?
I'll be hoping that my students would either decide, based on the theory and based on the practical work that they do, whether they would like to move on to, as Tara said, through the higher links and to third level, or whether they would like to go on an apprenticeship course, learn their trade and develop it further, That's what I'm hoping.
Cathal, following your recent trip to Russia as Ireland's world skills welding expert, where would you see people who partake in your courses progressing to?
As we alluded to earlier, we do basic, intermediate and coated pipe, but their career doesn't finish there. You can go into NDT, which is non-destructive testing. So you'd be going around companies checking welds and so on and so forth. You can also become a welding inspector. You can also work offshore on oil rigs, on windmills. You can also move in and become an orbital welder. And you could also, eventually, if you were within the age bracket, you could become a competitor for World Skills Ireland and or national competitions.
So where will the next competition be, Cathal?
The next competition is in Shanghai in 2022. And hopefully we'll be running national competitions next March to pick a representative to go out and compete in that competition.
Would you be hopeful that you'll have someone there?
Well, we have a few Donegal lads at the minute that's well up to speed, and hopefully they'll win the nationals and we'll try and compete the best we can. But it's very, very difficult. There was over 40 countries involved last year, and my first year there we were 17th, and young Christopher got a medallion of excellence. Just following on from the World Skills, one of the reasons I became a World Skills expert is that we have the facilities in Donegal ETB and the equipment to deliver training at a World Skills level. That's why Christopher done as well as he did in the World Skills. As I said earlier, we have some of the best orbital welding equipment. We also have some of the best robotic equipment that is in the country at the minute. And that's why Donegal ETB can provide world-class welding training.
So it is world-class training with Donegal ETB.
It's definitely world-class training.
That's great. Thank you very much. I suppose really it's just for me to say thank you very much to the panel for taking the time to talk us through the questions that most commonly come up in the area of engineering in the built environment. We would welcome any thoughts, any questions you have. Please feel free to contact us at the Adult Guidance and Information Service or contact our FET Recruitment Officer, Tara. Thank you.